Alright guys, welcome back to another episode. Tonight we'll be making a pretty simple spoon. It happens to be walnut. It's just going to be like a very small kind of like cooking, stirring spoon for like very small tasks. Similar to this thing, I made this last night. I had to put some CA glue and sawdust in there. The wood was a little punky on some of the spots, so I'll probably just keep that for home use. So because I have some new subscribers to the channel, thank you so much. I thought I would just kind of go through more of the process than what I would normally do. Um, in case people are new to the channel, more interested in that. I do show that on some of my older videos, but maybe those videos are kind of lost in the shuffle. But also, I wanted to kind of continue my learning with these two new tools that I received. I purchased from a tool maker, Richard Weaver. I'm using his version of the Tuka Cam and his carving knife. I did use that a little bit last night on the spoon that I made. So just kind of for me to get a feel for these new tools, and I'll be using those for the foreseeable future pretty much exclusively so I can become more familiar with them. And I'll be doing a review on those in the future. So what we'll do is we will get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make some stop cuts in the sides here, going very close to the line to your template. And the purpose of that, where is my square? Don't know where it is. Let's see where it is here. There it is. Sorry, guys. Purpose of that is to stop the momentum of your axe. And again, this is assuming you're using an axe and knife only, like hand tools. You can easily do this stuff with a bandsaw and cut everything out. So I'm not going to show the sawing on camera, but basically, oops, you can see there, I just did some lines there, and I'll use the saw to make those cuts. So I'll be right back, all right? All right, we're back. So I made the stop cuts, and because I have a little bandsaw, I've been making those stop cuts with the bandsaw as opposed to using one of my hand saws. It is easier. It just saves like 5 minutes. And when, in my case, I'm making some things for festivals, I'm just trying to save as much time as possible when I'm making some of these items. You could easily cut this out with the bandsaw as well, but again, part of the process that I really enjoy is using the hand tools. You get a feel for the wood and seeing how it behaves. Even though I've worked with walnut for a little bit now, I know how it behaves, but it's good to know each piece as you're working it. So it's up to you how you want to do it. So now basically it's just about cutting down to the line, reaching the stop cuts, and analyzing it from there. So we'll get started. That was close. Nice. And as you can see, guys, right to that stop cut, it kind of more or less stops the momentum of your blade going, through into your spoon bowl. You still have to be careful. You still just can't take a wild swing. You just kind of chop and kind of stop short. And it comes right off in the cube. So, so that's pretty much it for that side. So I'll do that to the other side. And I'll get a little closer here, but I'll do that to the other side, and then we'll get started on the next part. All right, I'm back. So that's what we have so far. Just really rough. And we're going to work with the shave horse here. And we're going to scoop out the bowl, or at least get as far as we can with the Tuca cam. This is a fairly small bowl, so this is usually my process with these is I'll use this bigger spoon knife here, I guess, and scoop out as much as I can before I move on to a smaller spoon knife. So I'm going to work with this for a little bit here. Remember it's not a race here to try to remove big chunks. There we go. Still getting familiar with this particular Tuca cam. It has a different, I guess, blade geometry than the Nick Westerman. Which is what I've been using, exclusively for well over a year. So I'm very familiar with that tool. This tool is a little different as far as how it cuts. It leaves a very smooth finish, though. There we go. Just about getting used to it. Cuts different, but not in a bad way at all. Most important thing is that it works. And works properly, which it does. Whew. Man, it is smooth. Whoa. Smooth. So I'm just going to continue doing this. Let me just show you guys real quick. I'm just going to keep hollowing this out. Can't see because this light is in the way. But man, that's actually really smooth. It's really, really good. So let me just keep doing that, and I'll be right back when there's more done. All right, guys, I'm back. So I got the bowl hollowed out as far as I feel comfortable. Probably not going to go that much deeper. And I was going to reserve any opinions about the Tuca cam. I don't really want to talk too much about it when I'm making like a spoon video. What am I looking for here? Because that's going to make the video a lot longer than what it needs to be. There's going to be a separate review. However, I will say that, I don't curse too much. Damn is not a curse word, but damn. Really impressed. First impression. I did use it a little bit yesterday, the Tuca cam, but the wood was a little punky in certain spots, so I wasn't really able to get a good, a real first impression. But, dude, Richard, if you're out there watching this video, dude, really good, man. Really good. Very impressed. This thing is, so smooth. I mean, that's to the craftsmanship of the tool maker by sending it to me extremely sharp. and it's my job to maintain it to the best of my ability. But man, whew, really, I'm very impressed. I'll just leave it at that. So, I already know how the knife works. The knife is awesome too. I'll kind of go into a little bit of that when I'm doing some of the knife work. So anyway, so now what we're going to do is, because we have these corners, we have to knock these off with the axe, and we'll do a little bit of that on camera here. You guys can see. So this is just simply following the shape of your spoon, in this case a circle, just kind of going around, knocking the corners off slowly but surely. And this kind of more or less sets the shape of underneath. Whoops. I'm always a little cautious when working around the bowl. Don't want to swing too hard. That's why it's good to keep your axe sharpened and honed, so you don't have to put too much pressure when you're slicing down. Let the tool do the work. But just like with everything, if you mess up, you just try again, you know? It's good to be familiar with your axe, because if you have a bandsaw and you use that to cut out the shape of the spoon, nothing wrong with that. But you know, if your power goes out, or probably something that's more likely to happen when you're trying to carve, if your bandsaw breaks, you know, it's good to be familiar with the hand tools, the axe in this case. So it's always good to be familiar with it. So that's really all we're going to do. We're just going to keep going around the shape of the circle there, and kind of cutting these corners off with the axe. Got to be really careful here. And whoops, sorry, cutting these corners off. And when all that's done, we'll be right back. All right, we're back. Making good progress for an almost 13-minute video so far. So this is about as far as I went with the axe. I went a little bit further on the handle here. So I decided to stop with the axe because it gets a little tricky right here. There's some really awesome YouTube videos of some, I'll be humble as I usually am and say some better makers out there that have some really efficient ways of, roughing out a spoon blank. And they just kind of like hack away at these little corners here, which can get really tough with an axe. That's why having a bandsaw is pretty good. If you want to have the fully hand-carved experience, then you'll go about it with just the hand tools. So anyway, I'm going to introduce the draw knife, and that's just to kind of refine this a little bit more, make it a little bit easier for me before I start working with the knife. So this is just going to very slowly shape this and carefully shape it, kind of flatten out any high spots before we come at it with the knife here. I need to sharpen this draw knife too at some point. Look at that there. It's looking pretty good. Gotta be a little tricky here. Easily snap the spoon. save me a little bit of work with the knife. What the hell is going on here? Let me look at this. I feel like it's like lopsided, but plenty of room there. So I'm just kind of what am I doing here? I'm just kind of flattening this out a little bit. Look at it real quick. It's kind of overall okay, I guess. Screen gets a little we want those little curls like that. That's perfect. Going to make it nice and smooth and you know, more or less flat. All right, so I think I'm going to stop it here, and then we'll move on to the knife work. So I just wanted to show a little bit of that draw knife work, a couple minutes of that. And let me set the camera back up for the knife stuff, and we'll work a little bit with the knife. Be right back. Okay, so we're moving along here. So what we have so far looks pretty rough. Kind of looks like my dog chewed on it a little bit. So now we're going to move on to the knife work, and let me put my glove on to actually let me put some tape on. So it's just a quick little tip here. Shit. For carving, if you're new to carving, or if you have been carving for a while, maybe you just don't realize it, that you know, I do a lot of the I'm not sure what type of cut this is called when you know, I guess a lever cut or thumb push or something, I guess. I use my in my case my left thumb to act as a, I don't know if it's a fulcrum or a leverage against the back of the spine of the blade. So, you know, you carve for a length of time, that will hurt or get sore after a brief period. And so just by putting some tape around your thumb, that helps a little bit. And I back it up with a glove of some sort, something that is, you know, whatever you're comfortable with. So that's a quick tip, I guess. Something I've learned through YouTube, actually. And so, yeah, so shout out to all the carvers that post their YouTube videos. So now we're going to use the knife. Again, this is another tool that I purchased from Richard Weaver. I did use this last night. Really impressed again. It's super sharp. If you're used to carving with a Mora 106 like myself, again, it cuts I guess the angle and how you cut is different. At first it was like, oh, this is different, but after I was done that spoon, I was pretty comfortable with it. So again, this is still part of the learning process with this particular tool. Very impressed with this as well. So again, Richard, if you're out there watching, thanks, man. Really, really good. Really nice. So we're just going to get started here, do a little bit of work here. I usually start with this side. I guess it's something that I'm pretty comfortable with doing. So we're just going to get started. And just so you guys, damn it, that hurts. Just so you guys know, this knife, when you buy it, it actually comes with this handle. I did not handle this. My handles do not look this good. So I think you can buy them if you request it without the handle. Just basically get the blade, in case you guys are wondering. But you can get more information that's probably a little bit more accurate than anything I can ever give you on his website. Just go on Instagram, and you can find his website. I don't know it offhand, and he has a lot of information on his website about his tools, and you can always ask him a question, I suppose, and he'll get back to you. So we're just gonna just like I would do any other time here. I went a little bit too far with the axe. Damn it! All right, it's okay. Just gonna start shaping this, and that's all we're gonna be doing. I won't bore you too much with that. It's just, you know, improvising, I guess, when you have to. I think he has, well, he has shorter blades as well. I think this is like a 3-inch blade. It's a similar length to the Mora 106. So that's really all I'm going to be doing. I'm going to cut away. I got to get through this. And I guess if something interesting happens or something more interesting, I'll come back. But yeah, be right back when there's more done or when we're pretty much done. All right? All right, guys, we're back. And we have a completed spoon. Let me take my tape off of my finger if I can. If I can't, I can't right now. All right, never mind. I didn't want it to be distracting in the video here, and can't. So maybe these lights are too bright. I don't know what's going on. So here it is. It's just a little smaller, little general purpose stirring spoon. It's beautiful. The grain is, anyway. I don't know about my carving, but it's similar in a way. This is the one I did yesterday. It's kind of my style there. It's a little bit thin in the neck, but it's for light tasks. It feels really good. Whoops, sorry. But man, is it absolutely beautiful. So it still has to dry, not for too long, but that's kind of what we have. Probably sand a little bit in there. It kind of really brings out the grain. And of course, as always, I'll you know, post some of these to Instagram. And I just wanted to make a quick mention about this knife here that I used to do most of the carving. Again, you know, in my opinion, you're never going to have really just say one knife or one spoon knife to do every single task. I used this, which is the Richard Weaver knife. Really good. It cuts a little bit different than a Mora 106, a little bit different than my Nick Westerman small Sloyd knife, which I use that knife to do a lot of the some of the finer cuts around the neck. This is a little thinner of a blade. I don't have Nick's, longer blade like this. I just have this little, I think he calls it a small Sloyd, and I'm still waiting to get his longer blade knife. But this is kind of the focal point. This is really good. I love the handle. Initially, I didn't think I was going to like it, but just after the second time using it, it's really good. We'll go in more of a review again some other time, but I just wanted to make a quick mention of that. Really good. Really good. So there we have it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in and sticking with me. It's a 26-minute video. And like I said before, if you stuck around this long, you might as well take a look at the kittens. Watch out, cat. See my messy basement here. All the soap supplies. There are the kittens. And the mom is like kind of hiding now. Let's see where we got here. Looks like they're sleeping. So they're getting big now. They're about 2 weeks. And yeah. Hey, Cuxa, come on. Come over here. Come on, come over here. No, she doesn't want to listen. But yeah, there we go. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next video, guys.